Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, presidential campaign unveiled his plan to revamp the country's military on Tuesday, marking his second major policy rollout of the cycle. The plan, titled Mission First, features 4 pillars: ripping political agendas out of our military, restoring military standards, breaking the swamp and promoting accountability, and turning the tide against Biden's military recruitment crisis. The plan takes aim at diversity, equity, and inclusion administrators, as well as policies impacting transgender service members. It's a military that has been ordered by civilian officials to pursue political ideology, to pursue social experimentation, to be yet another institution in American life that gets infected with the woke mind virus, DeSantis said, speaking at a campaign event in South Carolina. This is changing the character of the military. It's changing the culture of our services, and it's creating a situation in which great warriors have been driven away and recruiting is at an all-time low. DeSantis is an Iraq War veteran, having served in the Navy. If elected president, he would be the first president since George H.W. Bush to have served in the combat zone. The announcement comes as his campaign appears to be in reset mode after his team confirmed last week they had laid off employees. In a change of media strategy, the governor is set to sit down with CNN's Jake Tapper later on Tuesday. The interview will mark his first formal interview with a major news organization other than Fox News. So the really tragic thing about DeSantis is that having a military plan probably should be something all presidential candidates aspire to have, because there are very legitimate criticisms that can be levied at the way that we as humans, or rather as Americans, I should say, treat our service members. We've talked before about how over a quarter of all homeless people are former vets. There's no doubt that we could probably have a legitimate conversation about this stuff. But ironically enough, as he says that the Biden administration is driving people away, or we're having this record low, I'm very confused, because as far as I can tell, we've always had a very, very tiny segment of willful people who wanted to join the military. Right now it's less than 1%, and the only reason it really seems to have been higher in the past was because of the draft. So unless you're thinking of bringing that back, which is automatically going to piss people off, you really have nowhere else to go other than a lot of this anti-LGBT / nebulous words like woke mind virus, whatever that means. And I think it's so sad that for a topic like this, because he's obviously speaking about this since he's in South Carolina, they have a military base, whatever, they're military heavy state, I should say. But what's really sad is that if you want to talk about a mind virus, talk about the U.S.'s never-ending wars, talk about the trillions of dollars wasted overseas in these conflicts that go on year after year. Discuss the fact that the people who survive these conflicts are left with PTSD that often affects them for the rest of their life. That should be the mind virus that you speak of, not the infiltration of woke into our culture. What? So I don't know who this is going to appeal to. I really hope, and I'm not even saying this as someone that likes Trump, I hope whoever wins the South Carolina primary is anyone besides DeSantis. I hope that this attempt to have a military strategy that really isn't even a strategy, it's just these generic terms that have no meaning, backfires so much that in the very same state where he unveiled it, he loses overwhelmingly. I would love that so much. That's like the one request I have when they actually get down to voting. Let anyone else win that state. It doesn't matter if it's Trump, Haley, any of those people. I'm fine with it as long as it's someone else that wins that state. If he says something this stupid, the voters of South Carolina, even the extremely right-wing ones, should look at that and say, hey, can you actually give us some policy specifics instead of these like weird terms that don't mean anything? I hope that they recognize that, and I really hope they give him a nice rebuttal.